paint me red in this light that isn't mine. Finding every reason you can find to question my love. Remember that it's not me. I was never the one who broke your heart. We both know I've been gentle from the start. So though the questions keep on coming this time, you know that I'll listen. You know I'll be patient with you. You're my baby. Maybe this time you'll know you can trust me. You'll know I'll be faithful to you. You're my baby.
You wanna turn me, you wanna flip the switch.
Checklist, got one more for the set list. Walk in the spot and I drop one track, know who the best is. Walk in the rave like checklist, got one more for the set list.
Tell me what's going down. I can't stand.
I don't have the mic on.
So shut down.
Let's turn on the mic, huh? Let's adjust the sound layer. That's pretty freaking loud, and I can't turn it any lower. I guess I can do that. And still turn that a little bit down. And welcome to the stream. If you are watching, if you wouldn't mind giving me a heads up onto the audio quality, video quality, all that kind of quality stuff. It's really hard for me to know from my end because I'd have to watch myself, and if I'm watching myself, then I'm not actually doing other things. So, in the meantime, I think I'm gonna start just kind of recapping what went on last week. Last week, I built out this little page here. It's basically a temporary page that will store the tests for specific PRs. So, anytime somebody opened a PR on the React website or pull request page. Music a bit loud. Hey, thank you for the heads up there. Turn it down a little bit, but let's try it again. Okay, I've adjusted it. It takes a couple seconds to go through, so let me know. I can't turn the music down. Well, I guess I could. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking and you let me know how the music is still doing. It's like such a delicate balance because if it's too quiet, it doesn't come over very well on the stream just because it's, yeah, doesn't handle itself very well. So, but you also, I don't want you to be listening to my kids screaming in the background, so that's another reason why I throw the music on there. But some of this music is better adapted, but I have it just on shuffle right now. So, and hopefully the audio's come through all right. I've had some issues with my microphone and setting up. I really think I need a new microphone, but that's extra money. Anyway, so I was trying to talk about what this thing does. So we have a pull request here and just a random pull request. So I want to run tests on it. So it will run my build. And then Cool. Thanks for being patient with the music. And hey, thanks for saying hi in the chat. It's great to have some folks watching. So here we ran the test, 10 tests, no failures, everything did great. So that's kind of what this thing does. It lets us know the status, the build, the Allure report that comes from it. So if I wanted to check out the Allure report for that build, you can see it here. And let's see, there were some that I ran into that it's a build status of fixed. What is that? Doesn't make any sense to me. It would go from success to fixed. So that's the first thing that I want to look at today was what is going on with the build. Okay, so there was a build 60 that came through. That was a failure between these two. So I wonder if something is incorrect about incorrect when a build fails. I bet it's not actually notifying my service. So I'm only getting the successful builds, which is not good. So all these builds that you see here, everything above remove PR, URL, and notify, these have all been triggered via Zapier, a Zapier script. So last week I worked on this Zapier integration where a new pull request is opened via GitHub. It'll send a post API call to CircleCI to trigger the build, and it'll pass in the URL that we want to test and then the PR that is being tested. So if I go back in here and check out this failed build, let's see. And there was an assertion error. Current node version is not supported for development. This is just trying to build it. So that's kind of odd. Let's see what the pull request was. I think there's still a bit of work to do in this workflow. So this one actually passed. And the other thing that I don't know if I have is, does it run on every commit update? And I don't think it does. So let's see. Bad failing. Okay, I can't gather too much from there. Let's see if this one had kind of a similar issue. No. It did have an issue in building the React library. Yeah, at this point, it's actually building the React library. Oh boy, what is this? Okay. That also doesn't tell too much for us. And here's that same assertion error that ran into before. Current node version is not supported for development. Expected 8.11 to satisfy. So why would this fail if it's the same? I'm using the same image every time. It's really strange. So when it does do this fail though, it's not updating my Zapier integration, which is kind of, I'd really like to know about that. So if I jump into my CircleCI config here, I've got this notify, and it must not be notifying, although that's not true. It could be notifying, and let's go to my integrations, and I'm gonna go to my task history. And so there's two different ones. There's the CircleCI GitHub PR trigger, so that triggers the start. And then the other one is at the end, it's going to add a GitHub issue to this page. So didn't pass a filter. So we have a lot. I need to figure out how am I going to add GitHub issue. And then just filtered. And on what day did this happen? I've got too many CircleCI tabs open. So let's see, the latest was 2 days ago. I want to see if this came through. So can I get the actual date? No, it's just 2 days ago. So we'll say the 25th. And that was the only one ran on that day. So these should all be kind of clumped together. Well, oh, and the other great thing about just having 2 days ago and 1 day ago is that this could be separated by mere minutes and it still be reported as different days. I wonder if I go into here to build timing. No, I really just want to know how many days ago it was. Or not how many days ago. I want to know what the actual date time was. Oh, I don't want to do this. We're going to change the music. I don't need that much in my face on this. But I'm thinking it's going to be just this one because it was a single timestamp for that day compared to these other ones which all kind of come in at once. So let's check that out. Yeah, there's a filter that I have in here that let's see what the data out. There's a filter that if it doesn't have index.html in the data, then it's going to stop doing it. But what's happening is I don't think it's actually building. Yeah, it's not actually uploading any artifacts. So what I could do is in this filter, first check to see if there are any artifacts at all. If there aren't any artifacts, then send a comment basically saying that something did not go right. So if I come into here and update this filter, only continue, filter setup. So I've got the URL contains, so I get some data. Let me see. Okay, I wanted to see if I could get, your Zap would not have continued. Okay, so here's my sample data that's coming in. I'm getting a URL from it, and it's the app.js. But I want to add an or statement, or continue if custom request. Let's see. I could say the path doesn't exist, basically. Does not exist. Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I don't want this one to pass. That's fine. So I either want there to be a path to find. If there's not a path to find, then I'm going to create a comment basically saying that the build failed. I think. No, not that. Webhook notifications. No, it's only chat. Now I'm just gonna hit continue here. We're gonna go to create a comment, edit the template. Is there any way that I could add like a conditional in here? Only continue if. Can continue. No. Custom request. I wonder what that would look like. Okay, so I'm going to turn this Zap back on. Then I'm going to go back to my Zap history. And I'm going to try rerunning that Zap that failed, and we're going to see how that worked. So we go 2 days ago. And I want to check out the filtered from that day. Add GitHub issue filtered. And then the date. No, apparently it didn't apply the date. There we go. So this was the one that got filtered. And I was hoping I could see in the data out, but I guess there was none. Let's replay this. Okay, so yeah, it missed that it did not exist. And let's see what it added in our list of PRs. Okay, this is good. This is basically what it's not going to have the Allure report, so it's just going to be blank right there. But it does tell me that the build failed. So I want to go to this build URL, and I just want to re-trigger it. And let's see what happens if I rebuild it. See if it was like a one-time thing or something else. Okay, while we're doing that, I'm going to jump into updating my config. So in this step, I install the latest Firefox so that I can test on Firefox. Otherwise, it doesn't work, even though this is like latest Node browsers. I think it's more like latest Node, and then there's also some browsers that you can use. So in this step, I install Firefox, and I don't really need to do that every time. Instead, what I could do is customize this image and have it install Firefox for me. And so I want to do that. So to do that, I'm going to need to create a new Docker file. So you're gonna be talking about a little bit of Docker. Create a image. And I got a question about, do I know if WebdriverIO can perform a touch action like browser touch action without passing an element? And I'm pretty sure that it can, but the trouble that I have with that question is I'm not very familiar with the Actions API. I've seen it here and there, but it has not been a thing that I've messed around with too much. So looking at touch action, I've done touch perform, and in it you just pass in your actions. But what's missing from the documentation is a good definition of what these actions should look like. And I think the reason why it's missing is that this is kind of a Selenium thing instead of a WebdriverIO thing. So all this is kind of defined in the Selenium spec. So touch action as object. So what I would look at is touch action Selenium. And the trouble with this documentation that it's going to be all for Java. And so it's not going to be very easy to kind of interpret into JavaScript. So that's a bummer. Let's see if I can see what Appium has. So again, I think this is Java in the example code. Press the element, move to element 1. That's like a drag and drop, multi-touch. Mobile scroll direction, and that's using touch action, and this is touch perform, which is different from touch action. I don't think I'm going to be able to be too helpful because I just don't know too much about it. But if you're asking to tap without passing an element, I think instead of using touch action, well, here's, oh, that's passing in screen. So yeah, touch action has to have an element, but I don't think touch perform has to have an element. So you might want to try that. Performs a specific touch action. The actual need to contain action name and additional information either about the element, XY coordinates, or touch counts. So this is probably what you want to do. Is here you'll pass in the action of tap, and then omit the element and just use the XY. Give that a shot. I'm in my experience with touch perform and touch action and stuff like that, there's also issues just with support in general of how the browser support is. So yeah, I've kind of had to throw my hands up in the air on that one a couple times, and it is something that I would like to learn more about and probably do a video on, is where you can find out what the different actions are that you can take, what the options for the actions are, and the support for it. But yeah, that's the direction I'm pointing you with right now, is check out touch perform, or maybe perform touch action. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the best. Oh, and there's, they do have specs. So that's really what would need to be done, is like looking through this spec and finding the specifics of it, which would be under actions. But then you have to read spec, and that is really dense to try and read through. So instead, I'm gonna be checking out Docker and creating a new image. So a few times back, we looked at creating an image, and I hosted it on hub.docker, I think. Docker Hub, yeah. What is my Docker ID? So Docker Hub, if you're unfamiliar with it, is a bit like GitHub in that it hosts copies of things. So in Docker Hub, it hosts copies of Docker, and on Docker Hub, it hosts copies of Docker. Yeah, that's what I said. I wasn't listening to what I was talking about. And on GitHub, it hosts Git repositories. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. Now, I also have a couple images already out there. Let's see. I'm trying to think where I have this and if I have this on GitHub or not. No, I don't. But I do have React DOM defined, so where would I have defined that? There's a Docker file here. This is probably where I defined it. No, I don't think I'm using this Docker file anymore. I was going to use it to pass in the Git URL, but then I realized that I couldn't do that. So I actually think I'm going to go ahead and delete that file because that's not needed. Put it over here. Clear. So this is React WebdriverIO test. So I'll remove the Docker file. Okay. So I got rid of that file, don't need it. Basically I want to use this as my base image and then just add this to it and then run and build it and then use the new build as my new image. So to do that, I've done this before. I just need to remember how I did it. From, okay. And I want that to be, and again, let me know if this music is too loud still, and I can adjust it down. Nope. From working directory, I don't really care about the working directory. All I want to do is run, and then I don't need a command or anything, or any environment variables, and I don't need to expose any ports. So this actually should be pretty simple. I just need to convert this from CircleCI over to run Docker format. So they just run that. I think I can get away with something like that. Define a container with Docker file. Okay. Where is it? Where's Docker file? There, that's what I wanted. And then over here, there's the run command. I want to see if they have any examples in here. So they do have the slash that they're using. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this name and command. And instead, I'm going to do it like this. And there's no semicolon. Okay, I'll just add slashes to the end to basically say this is all part of one big thing. I can get rid of that. I don't need to get that part. So basically, this whole bit I copied from a forum post. Okay, so I'll call this Docker file. And then come on over here. I have Docker running already, so I can go into that CircleCI and then do Docker build. And then I need to give it a name, which would be WebdriverIO browsers, I guess Firefox or something. Yeah, I'll call it that. So let's see how this works. It's got to download the first time. The next few times it should run a little bit quicker, but the first time it's got to download. How's your Fridays going? How's y'all's Fridays going? Is that how you would say it? How are your people's going? That one, what is going on with it? Just, that is so weird. That's going pretty well. If you haven't checked, while all this kind of downloads, I have added 3 new videos on Appium. So I'm trying to put some videos together on testing in Appium using WebdriverIO. So on my channel, I've got 3 videos on installing the dependencies for Appium, including Appium itself, and then Node, Appium Doctor, Xcode, the iOS simulator, Android Studio, and the Android simulators, and adding that all into configuring it with your environment and everything. So the next video I'm going to come up with is writing your first test to run in Appium, because there's part of the issue is figuring out the capability set for running in Appium. And I'm sure if I go to the WebdriverIO page that they do have some things on mobile testing, but actually I think it's on their examples. They do have Appium. So this desired capabilities, when I first tried out Appium, this was kind of confusing to me what all this would be. So I kind of want to get into not testing a web app, but just testing a site on a mobile browser inside of the simulator. So that's what I'll be working on next. And whoa, those are helper.arc action. That must be. Guessing I'm going to see. Oh. Hey, look, speaking of the Actions API, here's some actions that are drawing the Appium logo using actions. And a lot of math. Action move to actions.push.release. So they're defining actions as an array of things. Okay, almost done downloading this stuff. I forgot how long it can take sometimes. And then while that's running, I'm going to change this over to be /Firefox, yeah. David, great to hear your Friday's doing fine. Hopefully you're looking forward to the weekend and messing around with whatever projects you're working on right now. Yeah. I don't have any huge plans for the weekend. Just kind of nice. I like weekends to slow down. I've got to do some work in my garden. Probably gonna plant some more plants, because why not? Keep planting all the plants. My tomatoes are starting to come in. My cherry tomatoes are starting to come in. And I've got a lot of big green tomatoes on the vine that I'm crossing my fingers no animals or bugs get to before they ripen up, because they take a while to I was about to say download. They don't take a while to download. They take a while to grow and ripen, and it's always kind of nervous when it gets close, because that's all that time that you put into getting them to grow. But I have downloads on my mind, and this is still not downloaded. Okay, so it looks like it is running. So it finished the polls, downloaded a newer image. Here's where it started doing that full run step. So it looks like I got the syntax right for that. And now it's just waiting to download all the files. And then I'm going to open a new tab and make sure that I'm still logged in. Docker. Okay, and then I need to get my Docker ID or my password again. This is a weird song. Are they saying cakes again? What are they saying? I don't know what they're saying. Kicks again? It's odd. Okay, so I am logged in, and this finished running. Oh, and I think I tagged that incorrectly. I think I needed just Firefox. Let me see. Docker build. Let me see. Build. What have I built before? Local React DOM to... Okay, yeah. I think that's what I wanted to do it as WebdriverIO. Hopefully this won't take as long because it's already got all the images and everything built. So I'm going to try this again and see if I can push it up. So I could do a Docker push. Yes. So if I go back over to my Docker hub, I might be able to see it. Not yet. So I've got to wait for all this stuff. Is it re-downloading it? I hope not, because that took forever. Oh, Michael Gilbert with the very good questions. There were cookies last time, buddy. You missed it. Maybe I can do cookies again, or at least a cookie. I would like cookies. Okay, so that seems to go well. I can close that out. I think I can close out of here. And then, oh yeah, this build. I wanted to see how this build did again. And it threw the same error. Current node version is not supported for development. That's so weird because none of my other stuff ran into that issue. That's strange. Wondering where this skipped came from. Okay. Yeah, because if I go into here where I build everything, like this is where it's failed everywhere else. Check dev engines, yeah. And it's like happy with those engines. But it's the same thing. Right? Because I was using latest node browsers. Maybe I need to change that. Let me see. Oh man, something's going on with this song. Going crazy. So there's latest node, and I'm pretty sure there's latest node browsers. So maybe I don't want the latest node. What version of node do I have? I have 8.9. So I'm guessing it's trying to run on 9, and I don't want that. So I think I want 8 node. Darn it, all that work downloading everything. And instead of latest, I want 8 node and browsers. Well, let's see if this uploaded. It did, okay. That's good. So I'm gonna rebuild this and re-push it up. And it's gonna kind of suck to have to do that all over again, but there's always cookies. Cookies are always a good thing to keep you happy through it all. So instead of push, I'm gonna build that again. Okay. Not crazy about this name, but yeah. That's weird. Why did that take like 3 seconds? That was really odd. If I do that, is it actually going to echo it? Node-v. Well, now it's actually rebuilding it. That's really strange. You're gonna have to go to the other stream for the sing-along aspect when we all do the sing-along songs together. I don't do that on this one because of copyright issues, and I don't want to get flagged for copyright things. There's the sing-along channel. It doesn't give a shit about copyrights, but it does give a shit about cursing. So there's also a sing-along no shits given channel that doesn't give a shit about copyrights or cursing. That one is the most popular. And we do sing-alongs to all sorts of fun things, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, where Mary is eating a little bit of lamb for lunch. It's a lesser known cover of the original. And then we get into some dark songs like Ring Around the Rosie. It's a pretty dark song about, what was it? Some sort of like disease. Ring Around the Rosie disease. A rosy rash. A symptom of the plague, yeah. So that's what Ring Around the Rosie, that song came from. Was from the plague. Yeah. So pretty dark little song there. Oh, but Snopes says it's false. What does Snopes know? Yeah, this is what I call filler. Oh, okay. What else are you gonna talk about? You gonna watch downloads run? Nursery rhyme is coded reference to black page. They say it's false. I need the fact check on Snopes. Atisha. Hope I said that. I like that one. Husher, husher, cuckoo. Man, that's a lot of information. Has this? No, not done yet. Sorry. No, I don't have a sponsorship by Yeti. It's sponsored by... It's actually... Great segue. Applitools helps sponsor some of this work. So check them out if you haven't checked them out. They do visual regression testing, and I am using them for some of my other work, and they do pretty cool stuff. So I'm happy to throw some recommendations their way. I don't know. What do you do that? How do you say that? You can tell that it's not scripted because I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Okay, this is done. I can get back to the more important things. Okay, so let's update. That is good to go. And it's using node 8. So somewhere, yeah, there's that echo of what version of node it's on. So I'll just leave that on there. And come back here. Oops. Okay, switch to using rebuilt Firefox image with node 8. And then this is going to re-trigger run to go, and hopefully we'll see that it works, and it should be a little bit faster. Most of them take too long. They're talking about like 2 minutes at most, 3 minutes here. Not too long, but let's see if I go into here. The Firefox only takes 24 seconds, but that's still 30 seconds that we don't have to worry about. And hopefully we're not going to see this same image where it doesn't like what version of Node we're on. Oh, shoot. This isn't going to satisfy the requirements, is it? Then how in the world has this been running? So it didn't build that, so that's good. When I do spin up the environment, I should get... Huh. I thought I would have gotten the node output here, but I guess not. I guess that only runs on build. Yeah. So I would have expected this to throw an error, but it's fine. Like, how do you handle this when you have this error that occurs every... It never occurred in the beginning. I never ran into it when I was setting all this up. And now it's 3 out of 7 times that the error has occurred. And this wasn't even the same error. This was a different error that came through. Contextify command failed. So like, I can do what I think I need to do in order to, this is a bit heavier. Wow. Okay. I can do what I think I need to do in order to fix it, what I think the issue is, but then I'm not actually sure that it is. And even if it passes and everything runs fine, why were you why did you get canceled? Did it run the test? It did run the test. So odd. Did it upload? So it did upload. That's cool. And it shows that it was fixed. Yeah, so I don't know what to do aside from just say, okay, it's not working some of the times, and that's a pain in the butt. But until I can find out more information as to why it's not working, I can't really do anything about it. I don't know if y'all have any ideas, like any better ways of testing it. I could spend a lot of time like checking different settings, seeing, well, the error's talking about it not being the right version of Node. I wonder if I rebuild this. I'm gonna try rebuilding this. Maybe that's what I could do. I'm just wondering. Oh no, never mind. It's gonna use. I was wondering if this was going to use the latest version. I could. See, I don't know if it's tied into this specific PR, but I don't think it is, because there would be nothing really. There wasn't anything in that PR that would have made me think that it's a issue. Because what's this in? React Reconciler? And this has been merged into Facebook Master. I don't know. I don't know. That's really weird. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of throw my hands up here and say I'm not really sure right now. I'm going to keep an eye out on it. I do want to jump into the next issue on improving the code base, which is a potential security vulnerability, which is in here on 4.2.1. So for this, I'm going to run my npm nuke command, which all it does is deletes the entire excuse me. It deletes the entire node modules directory and then reruns it. So that should update my package lock, which it did, and I want to see if it updated that. So actually, rather than looking through all of that, I'm going to pipe this. So GD is get diff, and that's going to give me the whole diff, but I don't want that full thing, so I'm going to grep and search for hic, and you can see it's version 2.16.3, which isn't anywhere close to 4.2.1, so I don't think that grep worked. There's darn it. Why? That was updated February 25th. Tooling method. That's odd. And they're on 5.0.3. Requires hook 421. Where did that come from? Sometimes I think I know what I'm doing and then just completely blasted away. So now I get to look through this package lock file. I guess I can just open it up and do my search in there. Boom, requires 421, and that's the one with the issue, right? 431, 421. And 421 was the issue. So now I have to see who depends on boom. Cryptiles depends on boom. And where's that come from? I don't know. Don't know where crypt files comes from. Crypt files, cryptiles. Cryptiles comes from Hawk. Dependency management. So fun. Hawk is required by request. And request is required by WebdriverIO. So in order to update that single one, I'd have to hope that WebdriverIO is updated, which I'm guessing they haven't done because that would be kind of insane. What's their latest thing called? God, she likes to call me at the perfect times. No, this is on 4.12. Well, I mean, the one thing I could do is manually require hook. And that's on 4.2.1, and they are on 5.3 as the latest, but there's no guarantee that this is going to work. Oh, boy. Oh, that's weird. I see. So there's version 4, then they jumped up to 5, and then there's still version 4, but they haven't even released a fix for the security issue. So how do they know that there's a security issue in it? Ooh, that's an angry kid. Security vulnerability. Non-issue. Ah, nice. Wow, it's not GitHub that's running a CVE report. Okay, so basically I just need to ignore it. Those are my favorites. Let's just dismiss. Fix has already been started. Project no bandwidth. Risk tolerable dependency has been misidentified. Vulnerable code is not actually... like, none of those apply. But we'll go with that. Okay, so got that done. Oh, I wanted to see on... not my settings. My... here. If that run switched... Okay, so that run did pass. And at no point did it install Firefox. So that worked. And let's see how long that took. 238. So... oh, well. We've investigated the failures and kind of threw our hands up in the air. We created a new Docker image with Firefox latest installed. And so now, what do we want to take a look at? I kind of want to see what y'all think you would like to look at. Do you want to look at Prettier.js? Do you want to check out trying to switch from Mocha to Jest matchers? Someone wrote on a comment on last stream that rimraf doesn't work on Windows, and so I should use SHX instead. Or I could look at mentioning this in the GitHub issue page about what I've got going on. I want you to pick it out. So, pick it, and the first person to say it gets it. Get the win. And this live stream is sponsored by 80. There. And now, oh, the Yeti is still there. It's just not as visible. Let's turn it like this. Now you can't see, right? Okay, good. Can't see it. You make me dream in color. That's a nice little sentiment. I'm not sure it makes much sense. Actually, I'm gonna keep that up. So what was the first thing I looked at? I looked at Docker failures, actually CircleCI failures. Updated Docker. Okay, we've got Prettier. Yes, we can do that. I'm still on the fence about Prettier. It's a bit opinionated for me, and I don't know. It's either I'm too stubborn for it, or I have an actual issue with it, and I've yet to decide which one it is. I'm leaning towards that I'm just too stubborn for it, but we can still implement it. So I want to use what they use in React. So actually, I'm going to come over here. And so the point of doing this is just so that we kind of use what they're using, their style. Yes, next paths, overrides. So I'll look at this prettier config file. And if you're unfamiliar with what prettier does, it takes your code and auto formats it for you. At least that's how it should be used. I was using it where it wouldn't auto format for me because I didn't have it tied into Sublime Text at the time. And that really sucks because then you get these errors and it's just like, hey, reformat it this way because it might look a little bit better. And that was really driving me nuts. So don't use it if you're not going to have auto formatting on, to where when you save it, it actually works. But what I'm going to do is I need to close this. I need to install it, but I don't want to install it globally. I actually already have it globally installed for another project, so I can just do prettier and that'll give me the output for it. So I installed that globally, but I do want it to be installed locally, so I will just do npm I prettier. And then I'm going to create a prettier.js config file. Sorry, prettier RC. Is that what do they have in React? They have prettier.rc.js. Okay, so I'll do that. And then paste this in. I'm going to turn off the overrides. I don't really think I need it. And I feel like this is, a lot of this is already defined, but I think we're okay. And then if I run just prettier, no. Where do I want to run this on? Let's see on their documentation. Find config file. Ops and file name. So I could pass in a specific file name or I can pass in a match. So if I come back over here, then I'm going to do my configuration file and then my test files. What did this output? Oh, this output the actual formatting of what the format would look like after it. To format a file, in place use write. And then I don't want to do that. I just want to see if it would throw an issue. Pre-commit hook. Lint stage. Just want to see what I want to see is whether it would change any files instead of actually updating the files. I just want to see if there's any errors, but I think I need ESLint for that. Yeah, I think I need ESLint to run this. But I don't think I have ESLint installed at all, which probably isn't a good idea. No, I don't have ESLint installed. So if I come back here, they have their own. So I'm thinking of, do I want to use their ESLint or do I want to use the ESLint that I have from my starter kit? And the reason for using the one from my starter kit is that it comes with these globals already defined and the Mocha set up. Hold on a second. That's funny. I use semicolons, even though in my ESLint, I'm using standard. And oh, but I am overwriting the rules to say always use semicolons. So basically I'm using semi-standard here, but with a couple other things. So I think I'm just gonna go with what I normally use here. And I'll just save this down. Site ESLint RC, and that needs to be .ESLint RC. And then I want to add the ESLint Prettier plugin. And then add that to my ESLint file. And I think that needs to be, I think all these need to be in quotes. I'm surprised that, I guess you don't ESLint your, or you don't lint your lint files all that often. And then plugins and, yeah. So if I need to edit my package JSON now in order to get my lint set up, which is going to be, let's see if I can remember this. Turn off, that's fine, why not both? That, all that does is actually run prettier, but I don't want to do that. Now I have to remember. Oh, you know, I had it in here. That's what I had it in. Package JSON. And where'd my lint script go? There. ESLint dot. Oops. Need a comma there, and then I also need. Interesting. I was gonna say I also need an ESLint ignore, but maybe not. Maybe not. Let's try this. ESLint not found. Oh, I need to install it. And I need to see, probably also need to install standard. Unexpected token on ESLint RJS. Line 20. What? Huh? And what is up with my spacing? Oh gosh. clean this up. What is the problem here? Oh, okay. Rules. There we go. I did not do that correctly. Okay. That's not happy because I'm missing a comma. Okay, that's a lot happier. Let's try running this again. Yes, cannot find module, ESLint config standard. That makes sense, so I'll save that as well. Oops. Oh, I can't type anymore. So I'm just having to add a bunch of dependencies right now. And jeez, ESLint plugin node. I think I am gonna have to move these all over to my dev dependencies. I don't see any real reason why this shouldn't, like, yeah, when you're linting your code, those should all be dev dependencies. Jesus Christ. Oh, because I have promise in there. I don't think I need promise. Oh, and then I have 2 plugin lines. That doesn't work. I thought I did install plugin standard. Didn't I just do that? I did plugin node, plugin import. What was that one? Config standard, but not plugin standard. What's the difference between plugins and... Oh my gosh. Okay. I will run that whole thing. And then I'm going to get rid of this plugin because I don't think I need it. Oh, it did use that. So I don't want to use it this way. Oh gosh. Let's run the lint again and see what happens. Now, see how long it's taking? That makes me think that I'm linting my node modules directory, which I do not want to do. So instead of running, where'd it go? Package.json. Instead of running it on every file, I'm going to specify which ones I want, which are going to be my configuration file and test slash star.js. I don't know if this works. Let's try that. Okay, see how much faster that ran? It was a lot better. So I do have a ton of issues, and you know, I think a lot of these can be fixed. Where did it go? There it is. because a lot of it's using single quotes instead of double quotes. Yeah, that's what a lot of this stuff is. So I can, I'm gonna go with that prettier command that I used, and I'm gonna pass in the right option. So first, I'm going to add what I've got and commit it as add ESLint and prettier. And then I'm going to run my prettier command. And the reason for doing it that way is I wanted to be able to do a git diff and see what specifically changed. So a lot changed. And I really don't want to spend the time looking through everything. Oh man, almost all that changed. Okay, let's run our lint again. 41 errors, 0 that are potentially fixable. Trailing commas in my configuration. That's going to be annoying. So it's here. Instead of actually changing that, I'm going to turn that rule off. Where am I going to turn that off? Trailing comma ES5. And this was comma dangle. Dingle dangle. Comma dangle. Oh, I'm just going to turn that rule off in here because it's going to be picked up. That rule gets picked up by prettier anyway. So to turn off a rule in ESLint, you set it to 0, and that'll just, it won't give me the error. So if I run my lint again, it's going to, you see I only have 24 problems now. Missing space before function parentheses, this is a good one. That's on line 198. And it's saying here. And, oh, but prettier doesn't like that apparently, because when I saved it, it reverted it. Bracket spacing, false, single quote, true, JS bracket. Same line. I can actually delete that because I don't have any JSX in there. Trailing comma, print width. So I'm going to set that rule. Let's see, prettier, and I'm sure some other people have run into this. And my music disappeared. Oh, that's a shame. It was actually getting to some decent songs. Yeah, I've already listened to all these. Oh boy. Maybe I need to sign in. Maybe that's what's going on. Please pardon me for a moment. Oops. Shuffle. No, I've already heard like all these. Haven't heard. Apologies if we've already heard this. I don't recall it, so I'm just gonna keep going with it. Okay, so there was the issue in here, and what did they come in with? I like this style where you do have the space. What did they come up with for their solution? Wow, drama. Okay. Instead of getting to that drama, I'm just going to turn off this rule. That's what I'm gonna do. And now when I save it, that's fine. And I go to my linter and I run my linter, it should be a lot happier. A lot happier being 4 less errors. Expected indentation of 2, but found 4. Okay, test case.page. Yeah, that makes sense. My indentation is all off. Oh, there we go. So see how it auto-formatted the code? That's what Prettier does for you. And, what? Wait a second. Did you see it went from 2 spaces to 4? That must have been like a Sublime text thing interrupting. Okay, so these are all indentions. Let's run this one more time. There we go. So now it is happier. Yeah, that's good. I don't have any other files that I'd really want to lint right now. So I think that's good. For Sublime Text, I'm using the JS Prettier plugin, which is built on top of Sublime Linter. I'm sure Code and other editors out there have different ones, but I highly recommend, if you are going to use something like Prettier.js, to have it auto format for you, because it makes things a lot nicer. And then one other thing that you can add to Sublime Text is this gutter rule. Let me see if I can find where that's at. That gutter line, and it's really helpful just to understand where the column is. So I have columns at 80, 100, and 120. I could probably get rid of 100 and just do 80 and 120. So if I close this, then you see here's the 80 line, and then there's 120 over here. So that is a good thing to have, and I can actually just turn that off. It's just good to see kind of where that place is. So I'm gonna go ahead and commit this and add it. And you know, before I do that, I think I'm gonna add to my config a run of lint. So it's going to check out the code base and then lint against it. That way, in case I have any linting errors, it throws an error before I can, before running all the tests and everything. So add that again, and then commit to add linting. Fix lint errors. Add lint rules. Go with that. And my music stopped again. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Why did it stop? No, not gonna do that one again. This sounds good. Okay. So that's Prettier. And the main reason for doing that is I wanted to match the style that Facebook React goes with. So for the most part, I got it matched. There might be a few differences here and there, but I think in general, it's pretty close and should, I don't know what it should do, but it should do it well. Yeah, it should just look fine. Okay, and then next on my list was using SHX. So let's test that out. So someone mentioned that rimraf, which is used in my package JSON. I basically remove the Allure results directory using rimwrap, and they said that that does not work on Windows. And I thought, well, that's not ideal. Rimwrap back off. Let's see their GitHub page. I'm gonna actually make sure that it does not work on Windows. That's interesting. That is so weird. What? I'm seeing two different things being said. That if you want to just delete a directory, use rmrf. And then in here it says if you want to use Windows, use rimwrap. Okay, well, I'm gonna look at this SHX again. So this is a wrapper around shell.js Unix command, but it says it's cross-platform. So this is basically what I want to run. So I'll just do that. And David, you mentioned that it kind of, that I was talking about it being heavy-handed, and one thing that specifically I was looking at are the way that I wanted to write these get statements. So I'd really feel like it would look fine just like this, especially if you have a bunch of them. So get container, get item, items, links, you know, whatever. You have a bunch of them. And all you're really paying attention to is what you're setting in the selector. But when I hit save, it reformats them to all be on separate lines. And there's just no way to override that in Prettier. Like in ESLint, you can configure all of that, and it's really nice, but here you can't override it. And so in general, when you're writing normal code, that's a pretty good style to follow, is that you should always have it. But in some cases with tests, I don't care so much about having a get that is a single line kind of thing. And it just ends up causing a lot more white space than I would prefer. And there's no real way to configure that. And so it's just kind of, I've kind of gotten used to it now in this format, but it was frustrating to like look at it and be, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Another thing is, like, if I end up deleting that, you see it jumps back up to a single line. So by having, let's see, at one point, if I save it. So yeah, if I add a single letter, let's just completely reorganize the way it looks. That's kind of annoying. And then there is another part where if this is too long, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the point where it's too long. Will that do it? No. Nothing in here is going to do it. Sorry, at some point it like breaks this down onto its own like that. And I always thought that looked really weird. So yeah, those are some of the things that irk me about it all. Okay, back to this. I've got SHX installed, and they had a really good example right here. And what I'm going to do is go into my package JSON, and I'm actually just going to write a clean, kind of what they do. Write a clean script, and then I'm going to run npm run clean. Actually, is that what I want to do? Because I could throw that on the pretest. Pretest is, on some of your scripts, there's a special pre and post that will get run before your tests. And this is a bit of redirection here. So tests will have a pretest command that will run npm run clean. That will run this. Let's see how that works. See, I don't know if it actually ran that. So what I'll do, let's see, npm run clean. So yeah, it should have output that, and it didn't. So maybe it's not with a dash. Maybe it's just no dash in there. I'm guessing that's what went wrong. Yes, okay. So I can close out of that. So pretest will run anytime you call test before the test is run. And I'm telling it to run clean, which is going to clean out my results. I could move this to just be in here, but I like the idea of a clean script to kind of clean stuff up. And who knows what pretest could be later on. So I'm going to leave it as that. Okay, so I switched to using ARMRF instead of RMF. So that's another item completed. And then switch to using just matchers. This is going to be a bigger item, and I think I'm going to take. Well, no, let's keep going. Let's keep going. An hour and a half in, and we want to look at just matchers. So in my test cases, I'm doing assertions using expect, and that expect comes off of chai, but instead. Since this is Facebook, they have to have their own version of everything, and so they have their own test framework called Jest. And it is kind of like Mocha, but in that it's a framework, but it also has some smaller bits to it, one of them being their matchers. And the good thing is that it kind of matches up with how chai matchers work. And let me see, not to be defined, not to be undefined, to be truthy. Yeah, so those are pretty close. So I think we can just use these matchers. I just need to install it. Best LaCroix flavor to be grapefruit. I disagree. Good. Okay. So we'll probably switch over to using Jest because that's how Facebook does it, and we probably want to follow how they do it. So they have their platform, which is a whole bunch of smaller modules. And let me see if I can check out their GitHub page. They're probably going to have a packages file or folder. And in it, I'm expecting they have a matcher utils. There is expect. That's confusing. npmjs.com. Test matchers for enzyme. Okay, that's odd. I didn't want that. I'm gonna go back to the React code base and I want to see how they load it. They probably just load it straight through Jest. Yeah, and I'm guessing Jest has a dependency on Jest matchers. Let's see their yarn.lock. There is no Jest. Babel Jest. Oh my goodness. They have matcher utils. Now is matcher utils the same thing? No, matcher is used by expect. I think that's what I need to be looking at is expect. So that just runs through Jest. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is just install expect. And before I do that, actually, I want to load up, close down all of this, the WebdriverIO GitHub page. And the reason for that is there's an issue on here about Jest, because the original feature request was Jest support. Basically, instead of using Mocha, use Jest instead, because that's what React uses. And the problem is they talked about is that it's not quite using Jest matchers expect library. So here they use just straight Jest matchers. Why don't they use expect instead? So Christian's point is that Jest isn't built for end-to-end testing, or maybe it wasn't built with it in mind, and so it might be missing a few features that are pretty critical for end-to-end testing. And let me see somewhere, what about having Jest support? Yeah, so this looks like it's farther off than I'm wanting it to be. But I can go with that expect. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now, is switch from using chai to using expect. And that shouldn't be too hard to do. Basically, I'll just switch that over to just require expect. And set it up like that. And then I need to install expect, which I'm really kind of surprised that expect was not taken as a NPM node module name yet. That it would just not be. That's weird. And then if I run my test right now, let's see, what's it going to run on? Firefox and Chrome, and I don't really care for that. Let me scroll down. Fine. Oh, this song again. I don't know what they're saying, so I'm gonna skip through. Didn't we just listen to this? I'm having a trouble with my music choices today, and all I want give me a minute while I bring up some better music. Now, get back to what I was working on. I was surprised to see that the Jest matchers, that expect wasn't taken. But if I run my tests, actually, since I only have one page, I have two tests. So, pretty sure to update them, it's just, instead of the dot, it's just 2 equal. Let's search for accept. 2 equal, 2 equal, 2 equal, 2 equal. Okay, that's updated. And then this is to, I don't know how that would come across, just be true. Let's see, they have their expect. To be falsy, truthy. I wonder if they have just an okay. Expect a value. This. To be grapefruit. Yes, yes, no. I just want an example where I'm matching that it's true. To be truthy. There's an equals, and then there's to be truthy. So they don't have to be true. They have to be truthy. And then if you want it to be true, you just set to be, and then you pass in the value. So let's see how our test is. Expect is selected, and I think this is going to be to be truthy because this could actually, well, no, this returns a Boolean. Sorry, I was thinking if you grab the attribute on it, it returns a string, but is selected will always return a Boolean. So I can change that over to, and I don't, was it fully equal? No, it was just to be. False. Now, speaking of changing opinions, I really like this dot notation because you can really configure it. So this is through CHI, this dot notation. But the issue with it is that it makes reading through the docs difficult for somebody who isn't familiar with it. And so you kind of have to figure out how you would put those dots together. And in order to do that, you kind of have to understand that they're functions that are calling functions and returning them and everything. And so the benefit of this, while it's not as configurable, so to say, it's very clear in the documentation every permutation that you have. And I do like that a lot compared to trying to explain to somebody, hey, look in the CHI expect API file. And so if we look here, you see they have the chains, and then they have the individual parts of the chains. But if you wanted to see that you're expecting something to deep equal something, they only have equal. And then where's deep? Where'd deep go? I can't even see it. So there's deep. And so you would have to kind of really read into it. So there's a to deep include. Well, there's nowhere in this list of to deep include. Compared to over here, you would have, well, I don't know if they support it yet, but it would be there. And so this is probably a better example of deep nested include, not deep nested include. So it's a bit more bulletproof as far as documentation goes. I think with CHI assertions, with the expect API, you kind of have to make an assumption here that this is the right way to write it. You can't, there's no documentation on it for that specific example. Anyway, that's just a lot, and let's run our tests and see if I got these assertions up to date. And then when we finish that, I think I'm going to make mention to the React team what's going on with this issue. And why did those fail? Oh, I need the local. Darn it. That was under fixtures, DOM, and then I can do yarn start. Start that up, and it looks like I had a few failures here. That one was canceled. This one failed. What did I do wrong? Huh. Oh my gosh. No, no. This is that was an older one. Git diff package JSON. Yeah, I have ESLint defined right there. Why are you saying ESLint can't be found? Okay, I'm gonna add all this in. I'm gonna run my test, and then I'm going to see why in the world this is throwing a fit. Ah, this was the one that I heard earlier that I didn't want to listen to. Am I listening to this playlist? Yeah. Okay. And this was the same one. Okay. So my assertion's passed, that's great. Now I can commit this update to use just expect assertions. And then I'm gonna run my NPM nuke and let all my dependencies reinstall. And while I'm looking at that, let's see in here. There's ESLint, which is what I would expected. There's my dev dependencies. Truly, all of these could be defined as dev dependencies. I think. Let's run lint. See, that still passes. Do I have... And I don't have it installed globally. Let's just do git commit amend, and then I will push all of this up. And we're gonna run those tests again. And actually, I do want to activate the notifications. Oh. Okay, so I hadn't run npm install yet. I did want to install. I thought it would have done that by default. No, there's my npm install. Okay, so there was the issue. I was trying to run lint before running my install. Oops. There we go. Okay. Let's fix that. And then we did have a pull request come in. And what I really wish is that it would stop mentioning this. My name is going to be all over, and I don't really want it to like be spamming everybody. But I guess there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there. I don't know. I don't know. Does anybody know how to not have it reference? I want to have the PR in there so that I can link to it, so I can easily open the PR. But I don't want it sending notifications. Don't know. But let's see if this worked. Well, it's doing better. I passed lint, so that's good. And now it's installing. Yeah, so if anybody knows how to tell GitHub to not be so social, that would be cool. I've done this, and now I'm going to go into the React repo. And there was an open test on, what was the issue? Here? Nope, that's not it. Okay. CircleCI passed, yay, that's happier, but this is only ran 5 tests when it, oh, that's right. I had commented out Firefox. This is something that I'd love to see improved, is the ability to say, I only want to run in one browser, or I want to run in these browsers. Okay. QA. This was it, and I'm gonna save that. Okay, so this was kind of the original issue that got all this stuff working. Okay, so I'm gonna mention in here. So now you get to watch me think about how to write a message to somebody. And doing some work on that test repo. Update. Change. And I'll do that on a new line. And that. I also added a few. And then it's and you know what I want to do in here is I want to delete some of these issues, because I've got a lot of junk issues in here. So I'm just going to delete you and delete you and delete you. And you, are you actually deleting? Please tell me you're actually deleting. I didn't just waste my time. Looks like it actually deleted. Come on. Commented an hour ago. Wow, a lot of these are all the same. I do like that song though. It's a fun little song. So the delete just is not working all that well. That's great. Okay. There we go. So I cleaned up that repo a little bit. That's good. I'm going to come back into here and keep talking about what I've got using CircleCI and Zapier. It's integrated with React to run the tests I do have on the PR credit PR report. Very page issues. Page restores. running now that are running in Firefox and Chrome. Okay, I think that's good. I don't want to make it too long because, I mean, this is already plenty long. And I know if I were to read it, I would probably gloss over half of it. It's the sad reality. No, I can move these. Yeah. I do like keeping the full link in it just because without it, they kind of have to trust that the link you're sending is worthwhile or like not spam or not taking you to a never let you go video. Hey, the time is 4:04. It cannot be found. So, yeah, that's why I kind of do that. That's funny. It didn't shorten the link here, but it did shorten the link there. And I'm sure if I go back here, yeah, it's mentioned in there. Okay, I think I'm going to take a short break now. And when I get back, I am going to... What am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna write some more tests. That's what I'm gonna do. Keep writing some tests and get into some more WebdriverIO stuff. And you know, maybe we'll jump into browser actions because I have not. You know, we talked about the touch actions and the regular actions. That would be kind of a fun thing to take a look at. So if you will. Give me about 10 minutes. I'm going to take a short break, take a breather, and step out of the room. Thanks for watching so far, and thanks for all your comments and everything in chat. It's been really nice having y'all company, and I'll be back in just a few minutes.
Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight. Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight. Ticking like a bomb, falling in motion, center of the stage, hoping that we'll be right. Back again. You gotta help me out, help me out. Riding coasters to dream your eyes. You gotta help me out, help me out. Swim in oceans to breathe your life. Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight. Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight. Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight. Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight. Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight. Don't you hang up again, baby. I just can't be alone tonight.
Hello, and I'm back, and we were going to talk about actions. Okay. So, in one of our tests, we couldn't get it to run in Firefox because the backspace key was not working. And what was the test case? 4. New test case on 4, and this was on text inputs. So if I come into my local host and let's see, bring up this file, and then I go to the text inputs fixture. Number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cursor when editing URL prompts. Yeah. So we were to type that, select www, and then delete it. The text cursor would jump to the end. And in our test, the way we ran this was we would set the value. We would set the selection range to grab www. And then we would press the backspace key and then check the position of the start and assert that it equals 7 and that our value was correct. Now I want to check real quick up here this skip. Set selection range is not supported in modern browsers on email input types. That's right. So it was an email input type and I couldn't set the selection range on it. So there was really no way to select that. That was kind of stinky. Now, instead of this simple keys, which is no longer supported, I wanted to use actions instead, but I couldn't figure out how to get this to work. So now I want to figure out how to get it to work. So let's do that. And yeah, let's make it happen, huh? Okay, so what I want to do here is I'm going to go into this here, and I'm going to do a browser.debug. And then one thing that I normally set up in my configuration file is this line here, which will, if I set debug to true when I run my test, so if I come back over here, and I say NPM test, if I can type that out, oops. And then I go to the front and I do debug equals true. Then this environment variable for debug will be set to true. And so when it gets to this line, it's going to return 9999999 instead of 120,000. And that gets passed into the Mocha timeout, which gets set in our Mocha ops. So it's just kind of a simpler way of doing it, and I might even want to just like lower it to just D, if D is equal to true. That way I have to type, what, 5 less characters, but it's okay. It's okay, it's okay. And so the benefit of that is when I get into this browser.debug, it actually will wait for me. And before, I'm gonna undo that. I only want to run this text inputs. So I'm going to pass the spec option and say text input. And so now it should only run against files that match text inputs, is what it should only be running on. I think we've already heard this song. I know I've listened to it like 5 times today, and it's not that I'm particularly fond of the song. It's just, for some reason, part of the routine that is coming on. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't grab any cookies. Michael, if you're still listening, I apologize. I should have grabbed a cookie or 2 for consumption, and I didn't. And I'm being called again. Chris. Can't talk. Sorry, buddy. I think he wants to go out later. Sorry, getting distracted. Okay. So I've got my test. It's running, and you can actually see that it had that highlighted, and now it's queued up. So if I run a command like browser.getTitle, it will actually return the title of it. So I can run any command that I want to here. The issue that is in place is that this is a multi-line command, and so that's going to be trickier to kind of edit. But I think if I add slashes at the end and then paste it, no, it's not happy with that. How can I basically paste this? What if I do editor, paste it in, and then Control C? I don't think it actually ran. How about browser.getTitle? And then, yeah, so it doesn't seem like it actually runs that. In Node, you can run editor and run multi-lines. I don't think you can do that in here. So I could get away with just deleting all the return keys. Unimplemented command actions. And this is in Chrome. So WebDriver actions. Handling action events using WebDriver. Hold on just a minute, folks. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so this, of course, is written in Java because most Selenium documentation is written in Java. That's just how it is. And that makes things more difficult because they kind of chain things together. What was that? Give a boost to your online brand community. That's a interesting pop-up for the subject, and I can't even just like click outside of it. I have to click the X. Great. Nothing like poorly targeted ads. Okay, I'm gonna jump over to WebdriverIO. And there's actions. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Sneezy today. I don't know why. There's multi-action, touch action. No, there's perform touch action, and there's touch action. Then there's actions. What did I use? I used actions, and it said that it wasn't supported. Unimplemented command actions. Yes, this is the best description to begin with, is actions are a very complex portion of the spec. There's ticks, there's input sources, and then there's actions. The command takes a list of input source actions. Okay, so you can have a type, you can have a pointer action, a key action, or a none action. What are we using? We're using a key. A unique ID chosen to represent this input source for this and future actions. I don't understand that. Parameters, pointer type input sources can also have parameters. So this is not a pointer type, so it wouldn't have parameters. And then actions, list of action objects for input source. An action object has different fields based on the kind of input device it belongs to. Okay. So here they have a pointer action that they ID as finger, and it's a touch action, and they take several actions. So the first action they'll take is move your pointer starting at, does it 1 second pinch and zoom, button pointer down, button 0. Origin of pointer, but that doesn't match the finger. Is finger 1 used anywhere? No, it's not. And I'm guessing finger 2 is also not used anywhere. And then you have to release the action. Let's check out what this example is. And this song, I've already heard this song. Why? Okay. Key input source, so pause, key down, or key up. So let's go back to this. We had a type of key. I don't think this ID matters. There's the key down, value of backspace, and key up with a value of backspace. And then you have pointer. We're going to skip over pointer. List of input source actions. You have a type. What? So maybe using this keyword of backspace isn't what I need to do. Let's just try, instead of passing in a keyword, I'll just try passing in a single value. And I wish that I could like copy it down to a single line and okay, same thing. Let me see. Chrome driver actions API. July. What if I just run browser.actions? Same thing. So it looks like Chrome driver may not support the Actions API altogether. Ooh. Following revision refers to this bug. It says here that it should. Oh, it reverts it. And then relands it. But hasn't been anything updated since then. Let's check the spec. Any of y'all have any experience with using actions? Maybe I could check. Just do a search for that. Actions example does not work. And that was closed. Closed. The Chrome driver. So it basically sounds. It's confusing not find actions under the action header in WebdriverIO docs. Certain action from protocol. Oh. Okay. I wonder what they use in version 5. So if you're not familiar with it, WebdriverIO is coming out with a new version 5 at some point soon, hopefully. And they will have a base WebDriver repo. And it will have basically a mapping between the command that you pass into WebdriverIO and the WebDriver HTTP request. So I'm guessing in here there is going to be, yeah, there's that actions. So there's a perform actions command, there's a release actions command. Is that it? Okay, so perform does a post, release does a delete. No, nothing there. A list of objects equal to the input source and associated actions. Let's search in here for actions. See if they have any examples. Perform actions value to be a function. Yeah, that's not much. Yeah, not much in here. So okay, so what Chrome driver doesn't seem to support actions. You know that. And Firefox no longer supports keys. So we basically need to do a little bit of switching here. If we're on Firefox, we could try actions. If we're on Chrome, then use keys. So I'm going to come back into here. I'm going to comment out Chrome and only run this in Firefox. And let's try running this again and see if we can get Firefox to open and try using the Actions API on it. Oh, that's why it didn't pause. I was wondering why it didn't pause last time. And the reason is I do this.skip. and I don't want to do that. So I had a little hook in there that was saying if it's in Firefox, then go ahead and skip this test because the browser keys wouldn't work. But that meant that it wouldn't get to that actual debug statement, which is no good. Okay, let's go back in here and let's try, I'm just going to try just browser.actions to begin with. Not great. What happens if I try the full thing? Gecko, see, Firefox, Millennium, actions. So Firefox supports neither of them. Maybe. What's this? Ugh. Really? Implemented has been for some time. But when I'm trying to use it, it's... Although... quite possibly... Selenium standalone isn't using WebDriver. Let's see what it's using. For Fox, what do we have? Okay, so it does use, at least in name, WebDriver. Updates default Firefox driver to 15. And this was updated a year and almost a year and a half ago. What version is WebDriver on? 20? So that was in 15. Pointer move action elements actions. Now how do I figure out what version of Firefox WebDriver they're on? Version 20. Yeah, so that should be the latest. Node modules, Selenium standalone. It would be in bin? No. Well, what if I run install? What if I Firefox install? It's grabbing it from WebDriver version 19. I would prefer to have 20. One thing that is kind of annoying about the way that this is set up is that in order to get a newer version of a Selenium driver, like Chrome driver or something, you have to update your Selenium standalone version, which is 6.14. So now if I run install, so I ran install before, and you see Firefox, it did 19. Now it's grabbing 20, which is good. And then the other question is, I'm not actually using Selenium standalone in here. I'm using the WebdriverIO Selenium standalone service, which could also be out of date. This will have a requirement on, oh, it doesn't. Yeah, here, 6.13, and the latest is 6.14. Okay. So, do they have a pull request to open? Update dependency mocha to version 5. Update for latest version of Chrome. And that was... Now I need to go into my package JSON. Oops. Didn't mean to close that. And see what version of Selenium standalone. So I'm on 10. And their latest release is... What? No, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong repo. This is the repo I want. Their latest release, whoops, is 10. That was on March 12th. But they have done some... That was March 9th. I see. I'm looking at two different things. So this could be updated to use the latest Selenium standalone. I don't think that's the issue that's going on here. Let me see something. Okay, so if I do npm ls, this gives me all of my node modules installed. So if I do npm ls, and I'm going to try this grep thing again like I tried earlier, and it's going to be Selenium standalone. And so I do have 10 is the latest service, and it's actually grabbing 14. So that should be working perfectly. Why is it grabbing 14? I don't know, because I don't have it defined in here, but maybe it's because I have it installed on 14. I don't know. I'm going to try one thing real quick. I'm going to comment out the Selenium standalone service, and I'm just going to run it manually. Selenium standalone, instead of install, I'll do start. So this is basically what the WebdriverIO Selenium standalone service does, is it starts Selenium standalone in the background for you. And now if I run my test, oops. Did I not end the other one? That's weird. Let's see what browser.actions does. Same thing. Requested resource cannot be found or requested received using HTTP that is no longer supported by the mapped resource. Huh. So I don't think it's the version of Selenium that we're running. And yeah, it left open because I hard killed the task and it did not like that at all. I can stop that. I'll close that down. I'll undo that. And now I need to figure out if the WebdriverIO actions command is even making a request to the right place. So it's sending it to session.id.actions and it's passing in the actions. Let's see, what does it use here? Source protocol. Okay, go back to the WebDriver protocol, check out actions. It's the same endpoint, and that's the same endpoint. So the endpoint seems fine. Oh my gosh. Advanced user actions API, legacy driver. Well, I don't want the legacy, I want the current. This is basically what we already have open. Okay. So these are just like usage examples. It doesn't actually talk about the endpoint in here yet. You know what I'd really like to have? I was watching another guy's channel, the coding train. If you haven't checked that one out, it's pretty cool. In fact, I'll bring it up. He does a lot of live streams, and he's probably a lot more entertaining than I am. He talks about some cool stuff in a very colorful manner. I mean, look at that. He's got his own train. I don't have a train. I wish I had a train. But he talks a lot more about like visual editing. He gets into like P5 and processing. Pretty cool. He does live streams. And one of the neat things that he has set up is this little switch that'll change the cameras from like this directional camera and his desktop. It'll change it to his whiteboard. And so he can walk over to his whiteboard and draw stuff out. And I really like that. That's a really neat little thing he's got set up. So yeah, check out his channel if you're interested in more tutorials about like other things and tutorials around like games and visual processing. Really cool stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's one thing that I wish I had. Maybe sometime. But I also would have to clean up my office, and my office is just a complete mess, which is part of the reason I use a green screen, is because behind me is a table that I just have thrown everything from the past 2 years on. And I look at it all the time and I go, I should really clean this table up. And then I don't. So that's part of the reason for that. Okay. Anyway, why I was thinking about that is I kind of wanted to draw out how WebdriverIO and WebDriver and Selenium all map together. And it would have been really nice to do that on a whiteboard. But I don't have one. I have a whiteboard. I don't have it set up. So we were looking at the spec, trying to understand anything about it. And another thing that I wish that I had is node dot something. Node language support. Sorry, there's a website, no.green. Okay, that's why I couldn't remember it. I would love to have something like this, but for the WebDriver spec to say, okay, in Fire or Gecko driver, it supports these things and doesn't support these things. In Chrome driver, it supports these things and not those things. I don't know nearly enough about the WebDriver spec to know what is supported and what isn't, and in what platforms and everything. Yeah, what platform tests? Support for running. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Support for running WebDriver spec tests. Huh. That's an unprioritized. And 18 projects? What? Hasn't been updated since 2015. Oh. What was that for? Web platform tests? Strange. What is this document that I just... So, I can file an issue against the title of the document. Oh, this is why I haven't gotten into this, because it's just... I don't understand half of it. I don't know how to get it through my thick skull. Like for each item, tick actions in actions by tick. What are you talking about? For each item, tick actions in actions by tick. Okay. This is like some pseudocode kind of thing. And the other thing is that this is the documentation written for the implementers of Chrome driver and Gecko driver to use to write their thing. I guess at least here I have a example of what actions I can take. And this is where I got that backspace action, the normalized key value. Ay, 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 ay. I don't know what to do, because I guess I can go in a Chrome driver and find the most up-to-date Chrome driver documentation, because I'm pretty sure sites.google.com, this is out of date. I'm fairly certain. Selenium, the wiki on Selenium is also out of date, but maybe not the docs. That's not what I was hoping for. What was I looking at before? Maybe they have a link to it from here. Latest release Chrome 2.38 on the downloads. Where does that go to? I don't think, is this? Okay. Clicking issues, operation not supported when using remote debugging, Chrome driver. Where? Chrome extension installation. What is that? Oh, if you want to like install a Chrome extension, I see. DevTools, version. I thought I was looking at something before. I don't know. Yeah, so this just points me back to the spec, which is not what I want. Jeez. This is about to be just me stopping and saying, I don't know, and nor will I figure out. And I think my son is pretty upset about it too. He is not happy that I can't get this working. He really needs me to figure it out. Full Chrome driver site is there. Like, he's so upset that I can't figure out the actions and that the documentation is, it's there. It's just not for me. It's not for the tester, it's for the person writing Chrome driver. Getting started with Chrome driver. Yeah. And it's just so weird that, like, advanced user actions. Says it's fully implemented in Firefox, but I don't believe that at all. Word of warning. Yeah, I'm giving up on this one. I'm sorry, folks. I just don't know. So basically, my response right now to actions. You know, before I completely give up, let's pull up the WebdriverIO chat room, and I'm gonna do a search for actions. Actually, what I'm gonna do a search for is that Chrome error we were getting, which was that was the Firefox error. I didn't want the Firefox error. I wanted the Chrome error. Unimplemented command. Okay. When I use actions, let's see. Doesn't work in Chrome driver yet, and that was really recent. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what he's run into. But it didn't scroll. So there he's actually trying to do some stuff. But that's using Appium, and I feel like Appium actions kind of work. I have gotten those to work a little bit. Yeah. Okay, I'm dropping off on that. I'm probably gonna have to go pretty soon because if you haven't heard, my son in the background is in major meltdown mode right now, unfortunately. Okay, so we're gonna just keep skipping this test in Firefox. let's see if we can get a quick test written just to make us feel like we've done anything. So we're on text inputs. We were on number 4, which was the backspace delete. Gecko driver backspace. Huh. That was a year ago. Oh, I was basically about to go down the exact same rabbit hole that I just went down, and I don't want to do that. All inputs, general test of all inputs. I don't know. This doesn't have like test cases in it. So I mean, it's probably just functionality. I wonder why controlled and uncontrolled. I'm just not sure what they're trying to test here. I think they're just using it as a basic test bed. So I think we'll skip over that. What other one did we have? We had input change events. So that was here. And I tested radio button groups with name changes. That was at the very bottom. And I didn't have my test case set up. So I can let's go ahead and update that. Come back here. I will create a test case. And the test case is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change events, test case 5. And the reason for having the test case was I could get an input and the container. And I don't want an input. These are, well, it's the first input and second input. That would be test fixture, field set, nth of type. But I don't see a field set in here. That's a shame. I don't know if they don't. Does this one have a field set? No, it doesn't. It does have a test fixture. Oh, darn. I'm going to have to update this test case page object because it is not very helpful because it's a bit too specific. Nth of type index, test fixture, input button. Yeah. So I won't do that. That's not ideal. So what I had going on is on the text inputs page, these are all set in field sets. And so I was getting the first field set and the second field set. All these set in field sets. So that was pretty nice. But if you come over to number input, oh, those are in field sets. That's good. But if, let's see, text areas are also in field sets, input change events. These are not in field sets. So maybe these just need to be updated to be in field sets. Maybe that's something that I could do is update them to be in, to give them a little bit more consistency between everything. But for right now, I'm going to copy that over, save it, and I'm going to create a new one called number inputs dot test.js. And then delete basically all of that. Change this to be number and this to be number and number inputs backspacing. Describe backspacing. And how did that look? It should not update. Should not lose decimal place. Okay. And this is the first test case. So I go with test case 1, right? Yeah, enter type. Yes. Okay. And then I get the first input, which is going to be this. Okay. So the steps to reproduce. I love it that it has these steps to reproduce because it makes it really easy for me to test this thing. Okay. Type 3.1. And then here's another issue with not having backspace available. I'll do browser.keys. The field should read 3, preserving the decimal place. So I'm gonna have to skip this in Firefox again. So expect input get value to equal 3 dot. So 3.1, press backspace, and it should keep the dot. That's what's expected. Modern Chrome and Safari clear trailing decimals on blur. React makes this concession so that the value attribute remains in sync with the value property. Oh, that's interesting. 3.1, and then you hit, and it stays there. But when you blur, that's strange. I thought, what happened to the? Huh? Why is it 0? Didn't look like it cleared it. When I do that, it does. And then if I do 3.1, okay. Oops, I didn't want to save that. Ignore that. Okay. Should not lose decimal place. Okay. And then I'm going to need to skip this one again. So I need to come up with a better way of skipping for next time. Come up with a better way of skipping tests based on browsers. That would be really great. So I'm gonna focus on that next time I do a live stream, because I'm already starting to use this in a couple of places and I don't want to keep having to copy and paste it all around. So, but for now, let's run this test. So I can get rid of the debug true, and then I'm going to change that from text inputs to number inputs. And let's see how this goes. And thanks again for everybody for watching and sticking around during this. That action stuff was a bit hairy. What in the world is that? Did I copy a browser debug in there? No. So why did they stay open? Yeesh. That was odd. Okay. So I need to check something. I need to check and see if when I was messing around with the, yeah, that's what's going on. When I was messing around with the Selenium standalone, along the line somewhere, my server, my Selenium standalone server, got stuck open. So I want to be able to turn it off. I'll close down all of this. I don't need any of it. So in order to turn it off, Selenium standalone, the main one, main NPM, has a neat little reference to kill all the instances of Selenium standalone. And you can know that you have Selenium standalone running if you check port 4444. And if that returns with a result, if it doesn't show this, that means you do have Selenium standalone running or a Selenium server running, and that's an issue. So let's try this again. Hopefully I don't get these unhandled promise rejection warnings because they're kind of annoying. And then Firefox should open and close super quick. No, it's the same issue. Unhandled promise rejections. What's it having an issue with? Car data should not contain characters not allowed in XML. Oh, jeez. Where is it having an issue? Yeah, so if I go back to that localhost page, see how it's still open? Because WebDriver exited out with like a crash, it basically crashed out. It didn't give my Selenium standalone instance a chance to shut down. And so I've got to do this, kill the Selenium standalone again. So that's what's going on there. Now I need to know why the reporter is having issues. What if I just run all of them? This might create like a huge mess. Was it something I changed in here? I don't think I changed anything in here. So number inputs get skipped. Is it because... Okay, let me try something else. Don't want that. I want to leave it like that. I'm going to go to my configuration and I'm going to comment out Firefox and I'm going to run it. And I'm wondering if in Firefox, when I do that skip here, this .skip, because this is the only file, it's like not expecting me to call this .skip and the reporter, no, it's not that. Because it ran just fine here. Input change events. See, my kid is so upset about this not working, and I totally agree with him. It's really upsetting. I want this to work. Oops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily turn off this test by just adding an A to the end. And now when I run my test, well, I got to do that. Stop this line standalone. Run my test again. It shouldn't run number inputs.test. And let's see what that does. Okay. So that worked fine. Let me go into run this through Firefox. So Firefox is, both of these are going to open, well, these should all run through. Okay. Still running, still running. Closing down. Okay. So there's something that I wrote in this that I messed up with. So that's good to know. Because it should be easier to kind of narrow down. Let's run lint. How about that? This is a good instance of where lint would really help out. Ah, it didn't help out at all. He is so happy. I don't know. I don't know what's this dot skip. What if I just leave it blank? I'm also wondering, did I miss like a curly brace or parentheses? Or maybe this URL is wrong. Browser.url. Nope, that's right. Maybe requiring the test case page is incorrect. So I'll comment that out. And so all I'm going to do is go to the URL and wait for the text to appear. And then I'm also going to say only run that file. So that was number inputs, I believe. Number inputs. So let's see how this goes. So uploaded the file, it closed out. Okay, no issue there. What happens if I load the test page? Oh, almost there, almost there. So now I'm requiring the test page, and that's just fine. Boy, this is fun debugging, isn't it? Let's try this. Test case get input, type, input value. Line by line. No issues. Let's do 2 lines this time. Okay. 2 more. Last one. Did I get 2 equal incorrect? It's the same thing that I have here. Maybe the dot throws it off? Maybe input.getValue isn't happy? And if this works, I might lose my head. Might lose my mind. No, okay. So it did get the value, and the value was 3, but there was an assertion error. I wonder if when I switched over to just matchers or to expect, that it was not happy with the way that it throws errors. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try actually failing a case using the expect matcher. And it's probably, I'm expecting that it throws the same error, which it did. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to leave that in there, and instead of loading expect through where did I load it through? Here. Instead of loading it directly, I'm going to do just matchers and install just matchers. Yes. Let's see, using just matchers. Now I'm going to run my test and cross my fingers that it fails a little bit more elegantly. Otherwise, that's the thing that I'm going to be working on next week, is why... Nope, still the same issue. Okay. Okay, so I'll go back in here. I'll get rid of just matchers because I'm not using it anymore. Oh, and I can get rid of rimwrap as well. Darn. So let's mark that. So just matchers or expect does not gracefully fail on test error in WebdriverIO. And I wonder if that's like it might not be WebdriverIO, it might be Mocha, and I might need to switch over to Jasmine instead. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, okay. So now there is an issue that this get value didn't return the right thing, and so I want to check that out. And I'll comment out that assertion. So we'll do a debug, and instead of text inputs, we're going to do number inputs. Number inputs. Number. And let's see. Okay. So the value is correct in there. How do I get that input? I think I can do $ input type equals number. And if I just get the first one on the page, value, yes. So that sucks. Get value is returning it without the dot in it. Same thing that gets stored in the V. So instead, I need to do a browser.execute and manually get the value via JavaScript. So this is going to return. So now I'm writing just browser JavaScript query selector, and then I'm going to do that input number, and I'm going to get the value on it, and that returns 3 as well. So even though it's 3 dot in the actual value, the value returned is set to 3. .1. Jeez. So how do you get like the displayed value of it? If I do $0, it... Okay, that's 3.1, and my mouse cursor has disappeared. Okay, there we go. Come back. Come back to me now. Okay. Now... It shows that the value is still 3.1. No, that's not right. That must be like the old one. What? Okay, but value is now equal to 3. Oh, and you see how I must have like scrolled or something? I don't know. What did I do? Okay. So I don't want to do that. I do want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I can just commit package JSON. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to add package. No. Reset. Git add package JSON. Whoops. .json. I'm gonna run an npm nuke because I changed package JSON and I'm pretty sure it didn't because I manually removed rimraf. I should have done it through npm uninstall or remove rimraf. So now I basically need to regenerate my package.lock or my package lock file. And so it's doing that right now. Okay. So now I'm going to add, oh, okay. That's interesting. Move rimraf and I'll do a CI skip. And I'm going to stash all of this away. Oh, shoot. Add. Now I can stash it. And now I can push up. And I'm going to call it a day there. Yeah, there's got to be some other way that I can get the value. Like maybe... Oh, gosh. Like I could select all the text in here and then add it to the clipboard API and then return that value. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. Okay, well, I'm going to call it a day, and thank you, everybody, for watching along. If you have any thoughts or anything, please leave a comment on YouTube. I'm going to keep on adding some non-live stream videos on WebdriverIO and Appium and things like that. I've got a new course that I'm working on called AppiumExplained.com. You can go to AppiumExplained.com and enter your email address and first name. This is about as far as I've made it on the course, but I do have some videos out for it on Appium installation. And yeah, if you're interested in that, it should have more material coming for that in the long run. So thanks again for watching and have a great weekend.